All right, let's then go back to council. Then, of course, we'd earlier crossed to our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa, and we're crossing right back to her again. She's, in fact, been able to find the ousted mayor of Johannesburg, Dr. Mpho Phalatse. Mbalenhle, back to you then. I do understand that you will be having a chat with the ousted mayor, and it would be interesting to know, whether or not she agrees with Action SA's Bongani Baloyi, who accused the party she represents of, what happened today in council. Let's hand over to you then.
Yes, certainly, Flo. That will be the first question I do plan to ask. As you know, this is not well, let me just hand over to the mayor. Thank you so much for speaking to us and taking the time to speak to us. Well, we heard the Action SA in council. They are blaming the Democratic Alliance, and they have shown utmost confidence in you, and they have shown you an overwhelming amount of support, really, and not that you don't deserve it, I'm sure you do, but what do you think, or how do you feel about what they expressed inside council and blaming the party that you then represent of what has happened today and of abandoning you and embarrassing you in the process?
First of all, I'm very appreciative of every kind word that was said to me in this council, regardless of who it came from. A lot of work has happened in the last 13 months, and it feels good when somebody appreciates it, and they need to be recognized for appreciating it. As for what they said about the events leading up to today, unfortunately, yes, we were trying as the Democratic Alliance with our partners to bring in the Patriotic Alliance to stabilize our government. As you know, we've been a minority government since our government first started collapsing in September, and unfortunately those negotiations did not bear fruit, and there's a lot of feelings and emotions about what actually happened and who is to blame. I cannot comment further on that. As per the Democratic Alliance, there are designated spokespersons who can speak to what happened in that time, and those people are John Steenhuisen, Solim Simanga, Solim Malatsi, and Celia's Brick. So if you'd like the detail of what happened and why Action SA was saying what they were saying, those are the people you speak to.
Certainly. The Patriotic Alliance has also somewhat spoken very well of you and spoken very highly of you, but while at the same time criticizing the organization that you represent. And they believe that you are being punished for, putting your hand up for a very senior position within the political party. What do you say to this?
Well, first of all, I have not put my hand up. I've said that I will think about it. Should I decide to put my hand up, I'll certainly make an announcement, and there'll be no doubt about whether or not I'm standing for that position. Whether or not I'm being punished, well, I think the Patriotic Alliance should say where that's coming from. I think they should provide more information, but politics is politics, and politics will play itself out in all different ways. All I can say is, should I feel a need to stand for any position, I will stand for it. I've got a passion to serve my country. I've got a passion to serve my people, and I don't believe that anybody should stand in the way of that.
Okay. Now, some of the opposition parties, including the ATM and the AIC, have accused you of being uncaring during a time of crisis. They referred to the Soweto floods. They referred to the shootings in Finetown. They referred to the rising and escalating crime in Eldorado Park, and they claim that you were a no-show when the residents of Johannesburg needed you, and this is why they've decided to bring forth this motion of no confidence you would have heard during the debate. What are your thoughts about that?
No, that's absolutely untrue. I mean, yes, people needed to justify the emotion of no confidence. I understand politics. They needed to say what they say, but I mean, if we were to bring out the facts, my office will tell you we've got a stakeholder unit, and that unit was always in touch, and at the right time I would be on the ground with the people. I was on the ground for the Soweto floods. All the MFCs were on the ground. We did all kinds of social relief interventions. We reached out to national departments as well as the province where the need arose. We did everything we could. This was December. People were on leave. They came back. A lot of officials as well as politicians who cancelled their leave to come back, including myself. As you know, we had a rough year. I had not had leave. The only leave I'd had was when I was sick, and you get sick sick, when you're under constant stress and you're not taking time off. And because of the pressures of running the city, I did not take time off. And unfortunately, in the time that I was thinking I could take time off, then the floods happened and I had to be on the ground. And I was on the ground in all the regions that were affected. We had 4 affected regions, region C, D, E, and G, and I've been to all of them. Absolutely untrue. Eldorado Park as well. I've been to Eldorado Park. I went to the police station, had a chat with the station commander to understand the dynamics that had led to what was happening. I had a chat with the people who were protesting. My office had been on the ground on an ongoing basis, and just before our illegal ousting, we were meant to go back with solutions from all the MNCs, and then the illegal ousting happened, and then I referred it to Dada Marero, and I said, please go to the people of Eldorado Park and make sure you attend to these issues. So they had a proper handover, and they did go. So it's not true that I never went. With the Fine Town shootings, I remember that when it happened, I think it also happened around the time of the ousting, but we came back, we did go to Fine Town, and unfortunately there was politics. You know, Region G has always been a very difficult region politically. I remember when I was MMC, I was once threatened with stoning. The then Mayor Mashaba was stoned out of there. The then MMC for housing, MMC for transport was stoned out of there. So it's always been a difficult region. But we keep going back and we keep getting resistance. So it's not true that I never went to Fine Town either. Like I said, people needed to motivate why they're doing what they're doing.
Certainly.
We know the real reason.
Certainly. One last question. The electricity issue. You'll remember Diploof Zone 3 had an issue with electricity, and there was some unhappiness from residents at the time, which led a whole group of them to march to your doorstep over here. Do you feel that you could have handled that matter differently, because residents were unhappy with the fact that it was you associated with the culture of non-payment when it was a technical issue, which was an ESCOM issue?
The culture of non-payment in Soweto is a known fact. It's been admitted to by the ANC themselves, who were the origin of that culture when they made false promises to people in exchange for votes ahead of 1994. They said to people, you will get free services if you vote for the ANC. People voted, and that's what they're holding on to this day, and that's why they refuse to pay for services. We've worked very hard to change that mindset, change the culture. So no, unfortunately, I had to be unpopular in that time because everybody was saying the popular thing. But what I was saying is the truth, and with time, people started accepting it because they felt the pain of being without electricity, and they realized if they cooperated with ESCOM, they could actually get reconnected. And we've had a good news story in Diploof Zone 3. They actually got reconnected because they paid the fines that ESCOM asked for, and that was really the message. It was unpopular, yes, but it had to be said, and somebody had to say it.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it. That is outgoing Johannesburg Mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse just talking to us about the outcome of what has transpired in council, and also just talking to us about, comments made by various political parties which have criticized the Democratic Alliance and accusing the party of abandoning and embarrassing their very own candidate. It's back to you in studio.
Right, many thanks to you, Mbalenhle Mthethwa, for us there in the Joburg Council, of course, where the mayor, the ousted mayor, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, was indeed taken out by a vote of no confidence earlier, and that is her reaction to that then this afternoon.